We covered it on a previous video that congratulations are in order to Bayern Munich for lifting the Meisterschale from the sofa. Sofa-schale? I believe that's where we ended up with that terminology. Anyway, they won it from the sofa. Actually, they were all out celebrating, weren't they? Because you've probably seen it on social media. There's that great photo of Harry Kane and Eric Dyer out in a restaurant hugging each other, and in the back there's a TV screen, there's a monitor with Xabi ALONSO just storming off the pitch and Jonathan Tah was trying to get his attention. Now what's he saying? Is he saying, I'm off to Munich? Again, don't judge me on the accent. Anyway, but for every winner there's a loser, because it's, yin yang, the world is black and white. Or is it grey? Not for the purpose of this metaphor. There is, for every winner there's a loser. A loser seems a bit of a harsh piece of terminology. That's facts though, right? And it was Leverkusen. Now Leverkusen have done, I think we should clap it in, right? They've done incredibly well to keep in lockstep, to quote Manu from Gegenpressing Pod. They've done extremely well to keep in that fight. It's not quite gone to points, has it? Because there ultimately has been a KO. Munich have KO'd Leverkusen, although credit to them for dragging it out to match day 32. And that's where we'll pick up, actually. Yeah. So this is match day 32. This is Leverkusen playing on the Sunday. So on the Saturday, on the Saturday, it was an afternoon game between Munich and Leipzig, which ended up being this exhausting 3-3, where, Harry Kane had to run from the top of the Red Bull Arena donut all the way down to pitch side and then had to sort of go all the way back up again. Or at least sit, sulking in somebody else's seat, because the champagne was put on ice until 24 hours later, until this game kicked off on the Sunday, like I say. So Leverkusen taking the trip to the Black Forest to go and play Freiburg. Here's your starting lineups. Florian, not WIRTZ, I think it's Florian, right? Florian Müller in goal for Freiburg, who played a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-4-2, effectively. You got a back four of Jerdy Makengo on the left. You got Rosenfelder, he was hard-working, actually, on the right as a right back. You got Christopher Lionheart, that's not his real name, it's Philip Lionheart. And Christian Ginter, there's your back four. Patrick Oosterhard, not to be confused with Patrick Ostergaard from Offenheim. Oosterhard playing alongside Maxi Eggestein. He's not ugly, he just does the ugly work. There you double pivot in this formation. And then you've got these extraordinary ballers left and right. You've got Ritzendoen from Japan on the right. You've got Vincenzo Grifo, the Italian gentleman, the stalwart on the left. Now, I'm jumping around, but there's 34 goal involvements this season in the Bundesliga from these two wide players, which is, we are going to clap that in. So, Grifo, Doen, and then you've got John Manzambi playing as a number 10 behind Junior Adamu, who hadn't until this point scored for fucking ages. He did score on match day 3. I think he did get a goal recently, or that was maybe given to somebody else. And actually, as we'll find out, his goal was actually given to somebody else, but we'll get onto that. So that's your home team in the Black Forest Freiburg. You got Leverkusen visiting in a 3-4-2-1. Change of goalkeeper this time. No Hrdecki in goal. It was Kovar. I don't know much about him, but we'll learn as we go along. A familiar, resolute, but were they? Back three, sort of three reliable, three horsemen. That'll do, won't it? Pierre Hincapié, Jonathan Tah, where's he going to end up? We'll come on to that. And Edmund, what a great name, by the way. Edmund Tapsoka, there's your back three. And then that midfield four, which is comprised of wing backs in Grimaldo. Guys, what's this? What am I trying to... What am I getting at here? Grimaldo on the left. Frimpong on the right. You got Granit Xhaka, ex-Arsenal, thank you, Gonzo. And Alex Garcia, the Spaniard, in the middle of that midfield. And then ahead of them, you got Buendia, Emi Buendia, ex-Aston Villa. You got Florian WIRTZ drifting around from the right-hand side as the playmaker. And they're all trying to feed the goat, and he will score. That's a reference to Sean Goater. If you're old enough, you'll know. Patrick Schick, who himself has already scored, 19 goals so far in this Bundesliga campaign. Apparently he's on the radar for Bayern Munich to be a backup striker to Harry Kane. €25 million valuation on the head of the Czechia striker, who is very tall, isn't he? Very giraffe-like. So there's your two lineups. We jump into the game. Yes, it ended up being 2-2, but it didn't quite go to plan, did it? And I don't mean that in terms of like pull the camera out, bigger picture, Leverkusen relinquishing their hold on the Meisterschale to Munich. I mean, the script for the game didn't go to plan because Freiburg go 1-0 up. That goal, by the way, take a look from the... It's not ugly. It's not an ugly football. It just does the ugly way. Maxi Eggestein scored from 25 yards out. It was a rocket. There was no chance whatsoever for Kovar to save that one. Yeah, absolute rocket. And then just when he thought Junior Adama would scored, actually, and I've seen quite a few replays of this, it's an own goal. Yeah, the ball is floated into the box. I believe that was from Eggestein. It's nodded down by John Manzambi, and Junior Adamo goes he's stretching, he reaches out a toe to poke it in, but it actually comes off in Capier. It's an own goal in the 48th minute. So that means that Leverkusen are absolutely in the shizer because, of course, the stakes come into this game was that Leverkusen just needed to win. Even though Munich drew the day before and there was still an 8-point gap between the two sides, bearing in mind going into this game, there was only 3 games in the season left. So 9 points up for grabs, 8-point difference between them and the leaders Munich. So they had to win this game to drag it out to match day 33. As it was at 2-0 down, well, they're steering against the barrel, right? Two-ball shotgun. And that's when Florian WIRTZ, around about the hour mark, decided, right, I'm going to grab this game by the scruff of the neck, as he has done all this season and last season. Hence, he's in the spotlight with this transfer saga that just... he does really well to shrug it off, and we'll come on to that soon. But anyway, he scores on the 82nd minute. There's a breakaway movement, as there was throughout that second half. But again, like I say, from the 60th minute, it seems to be that's when the message came from Alonso on the touchline. We need goals now. Grimonde picked out WIRTZ, who went on this jinxing run, almost physically and metaphorically. He took the game, literally. He was like, right, I'm going to sort this out. I'm going to bail us out again. He went on a jinxing run, started on the left, cut inside. He must have been, I think there's probably a still photograph, which is like that classic Johan Cruyff for the Netherlands playing against Denmark, where he's about to do that Cruyff turn, and there's 5, I'm sure it's Denmark, or maybe it's Norway, it's one of those Scandinavian teams. There's 5 defenders all sort of like coming at him, and Cruyff manages to weave his way past all of them. Well, Florian WIRTZ did that. Almost Messi-like. I put the two gods of football in the same sentence there. So he starts on the left, he jinks in his way through 4 defenders, and he lets a finish go that spins and then bounces past Muller. So it comes off the post and bounces into the other corner. That's 2-1. Nathan Teller, ex-Burnley, who did play for the big brain one, Vincent KOMPANY, during his promotion campaign from the EFL Championship a couple of years back. Nathan Teller goes running into the goal, scramble, balls put back on the halfway line. There's lots of two of them throwing. And actually, there's moments where Freiburg could have scored a third goal. And then it happens, doesn't it? Leverkusen clicks into gear. Leverkusen pull off a Leverkusen. And there's a goal by Jonathan Tah from a Nathan Teller cross. Again, that ex-Burnley guy featuring prominently in this game. That ball's whipped into the box. And it comes literally off his back and flies into the net on the 93rd minute. Xabi's jumping up and down because he knows the significance of that. All right, okay, in the grander picture, they're going to come short and the title will end up transferring to Munich. However, and I'm going to jump around here, that did equal a Bundesliga record for the number of away games, right? So Leverkusen on match day 32 with that 94th last minute Jonathan Tah goal equaled a long-standing record of 33 consecutive away games unbeaten, which is stretched across 2 seasons, which is like let's clap that one in. So there is always a silver lining. It wasn't enough though, was it? But the significance for Freiburg was fantastic because they are, as their Bundesliga.com headline reflects, on the brink of history of getting into the first ever Champions League campaign. That was the previous manager that was a long-time servant, Christian Streak. Yeah, Christian Streak. You can see here that, again, 34 goal involvements between Ritz and Doan and Vincenzo Grifo this season. They have 13 goals coming from defenders. Lucas Kubler scored 5 times. That's more than any other defender in the Bundesliga. Oh, of course, yeah, they had Noah Atabulla, who is Die Mannschaft number 1 for the under-21s. At one point, they went on a run of 6 clean sheets. There's the fact I was trying to stretch for. That was 609 minutes without conceding a goal. 10 clean sheets in 24 games from Noah Atabulla. Let's clap that in. Again, only Peter Glassi from Leipzig and Munich's Manny Neuer have managed more so far this season. Yeah, what do they have to do now? So Freiburg have got 2 games left. They're playing Holstein Kiel, one of the whipping boys, but as proven recently, Holstein Kiel have been just pulling magic results out of the bag and doing everything they can to try and stay in the Bundesliga. So they've got to go away to Kiel, and then they host the Eagles, Frankfurt, on the last day of the season. So effectively, Freiburg need to win. Definitely need to win that game against Kiel and a draw against Frankfurt, depending upon how other results go. And that theoretically would put them in with a chance of being in the Champions League, because that's where they are currently. Look, there you go, look. They're on 52 points following that 2-2 draw with Leverkusen. Again, the title's gone. There's only 2 games left, which means there's 6 points and there's still an 8-point gap. So congratulations to everyone from the Bayern view, to Liam, to Zia, Eddie, one of Dishy Danny from Always Bayern and Chelsea, and thousands of other, millions of you around the world that support Bayern Munich. Congratulations on that one. But for Freiburg, though, look at that. They are currently a point ahead of Dortmund, 4 points behind Frankfurt, who have to come to the Black Forest on the final day of the season. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic run-in. Just coming back to this game then, just because there's some data that I wanted to go through. So Florian WIRTZ, he scored again. That was his 10th goal in the Bundesliga. 10 assists too. Bearing in mind he was missing for 4 of 5 games? So, yeah, 20 goal involvements from Florian WIRTZ. He's only 22, by the way. Yeah, he's got a big decision coming up, but we will explore that later on. Nathan Teller with an assist. That was his 4th of the season. He scored 2 as well, so 6 goal involvements from Nathan Teller from the ex-Burnley. This is just in the Bundesliga, by the way. He's played a lot of times off the bench, although, again, he is effective. Very effective is Nathan Teller. I've been touching on this 34 goal involvements from the 2 wide players at Freiburg. Well, here's Vincenzo Grifo, look, 32 years of age. He's 18 goal involvements off his own back, right? He scored 8 personal goals, responsible for 10 assists. And then Ritz and Doan, well, he's Japanese, take it from me. 9 personal goals, 7 assists. An incredible effort. And there's Maxi Eggestein. So he's not ugly, see? Oh, he once played for Werder Bremen. He just does the ugly work. But even then, he's still managed to score 2 goals this season. And please, check out that rocket of a goal in that 2-2 draw. And again, back to the table. This is where we are. Freiburg, like I said, they're on the brink of history. Now, they have had, in the last few years, they have played in the Europa League before. And just to set that scene and put it in context, in their 21/22 season, they finished 6th, which, again, because of all the adjustments to, basically all the money, right? Money, 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 money. All the money that's involved in football these days. The expansion to various tournaments like the Champions League, the Europa League, and that Thursday night Pat Nevin special with the Conference League meant that they qualified for the Europa League on the back of finishing 6th. That same season, by the way, they competed in the DFB Pokal. And when I say competed, I mean they went all the way to the final to Berlin, where they took Leipzig to penalties. Unfortunately, they missed out 4-2 on that occasion. But there was a rich streak for Freiburg, where they did end up playing, like I say, in the Europa League the following season, the 22/23 season. Even managed to top their group. Clap that one in, please, people. Look at that. 6 games. I mean, that's... All right. Nantes, the Farmers League, aren't they? And by the way, yes, I will just briefly mention it. Arsenal... What's that, Gonzo? Yeah, even Gonzo will concede that Arsenal were outplayed by a better team in PSG last night. And there's that brilliant photo of Luis Enrique going, Farmers League? No, we are the Farmers League. So well done. It proves that guy has a sense of humour after all. PSG progressed to the final of the Champions League, which is being held in Munich at the Allianz on May the 31st. And they will come up against Filippo Inzaghi's Inter. That should be a very intoxicating affair. Nantes, though, back to the point I was trying to make, from that Farmers League, they're what? Maybe 8th, maybe 7th best team in France. I mean, yeah, any French viewers out there, please bring it on. Let's get some debate going in the comment section. All I'm trying to say is they're a reasonable team. Karabag, don't worry about that. You know, they have to enter because that's where the money comes from, right? And Olympiacos have got a rich history. It's been one of the top 3 teams in Greece, if not the top team. Can you name the other 2, though? I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, not a bad look at that. So, top of the group with 14 points. Here's all the results, look. You know, so they whooped Olympiacos 3-0 away from home. Also beat Nantes 4-0 away from home. There were 2 draws to finish it off. Oh, look, they went to Riddle Baku in Azerbaijan, which, of course, is where Karabag... We're all assuming that's how you pronounce it, by the way. Anyway, so they go all the way to the round of 16, where, unfortunately, they were dumped out by Juventus. So they have played in Europe before, and they're on the verge of it again. But they have to get results in these 2 games. At least 4. They need at least 4 points and hope that other results go their way. Dortmund on a late surge, so they're going to have to watch out for that one. It's going to be very, very exciting. And then just to cap this roundup off, let's look at Florian WIRTZ, right? So that's and then we'll do a whole update as part of our daily content, as part of our transfer talk. Now, this is the latest in the saga, that Florian WIRTZ has come out and he said, I reject Manchester City, even though, and I keep making this point, that Florian WIRTZ is a natural replacement for Kevin De Bruyne when he's being let go in the summer. Apparently, though, Florian WIRTZ has said, I don't want to go to Manchester City. I don't even want to go to Real Madrid, which, again, if Florentine Perez gets his way, Xabi Alonso could well be taken over as head coach at Real Madrid to fix the mess that they're in. And it naturally would have been assumed that he would have followed his master Padawan. Although he said, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Bayern Munich. How much truth there is in this, we won't know, will we? Because we're not even in Germany. But we have got some reliable sources. You know, we do have people like Philip Ahrens on our side. This was the latest update. This was yesterday. So Florian WIRTZ actually wants to go to Bayern, but Leverkusen are not willing to let him go for any less than 150 million euro all in. All comes down to the money, right? Which it should do in life, right? And that 150 million is comprised of a fixed fee plus performance-related add-ons, yada, 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 which I assume that Florian WIRTZ's dad is negotiating on his behalf pretty tough. He wants to go to Munich. That's all we're saying, right? And again, this is validated here that Bayern have enough money to sign Florian WIRTZ, but beyond that, Max Eberl, you remember the guy in the shiny pants? Sat up in the Allianz Stadium. Well, he's got to watch the finances, apparently, in order to strengthen the squad. Sales are necessary. The wage bill must be reduced by at least 20%, which brings in Leroy Sané. So Leroy Sané's got a new agent now who looks like an absolute Bond villain, you know. Piri Vanez. Anyway, this Bond villain, evil agent, is like literally in a sort of that meme of fuck this shit, you know, like he's thrown all the paperwork up in the air. Just when Max Abel thought he'd managed to tie Leroy Sané down to a sensible deal, this new guy's come in and decided that I want a better deal for my client because he wants to earn some more commission. And as I always say, why not? Why not? Here we go, look. Leroy Sané update. Yeah, they thought they'd done it. And then this new agent's got involved. Whose name is not mentioned anywhere there. It will be. You can go and find out yourselves. Here it is. Pini Zahavi. Again, check him out on Twitter, on the internet. Ask your friends at the bus stop or in the park when you're playing Jumpers for Goalposts. Pini Zahavi looks like a Bond villain. He wants the best for his client. He wants to get the most money. It's unlikely that Leroy Sané will go to the desert to take some of that sweet cash being offered in the Saudi League because he's got a partner who I don't think she wants to be there, really. I think she's got a taste for the high life in Europe, in Munich. Apparently she's living in London, previously was living in LA. So it's likely that he will stay around if he can get the right deal, if his Bond villain agent can get him the right deal. What is interesting, though, is that his sister, she's only a year older, look. Julianne WIRTZ, she's 23. She played at Leverkusen at one point, but she left to play to Werder Bremen. And during a live stream last night and the Gegenpressing pod with Manu and Stefan, I put the point to them that, and I was trying to be very sensible, the Bundesliga as a product will take a hit if Florian WIRTZ moves away, if Florian WIRTZ ends up going to La Liga or to the Premier League to play for Manchester City, then it'll be the Bundesliga lost. It'll damage the product, the value, because people's interest might drop off. Manu, to his credit, was quick on that. He was trying to make a point about Leroy Sané and almost scratched that record and was like, no, I disagree with that because he's going to go to Bayern Munich. And I was like, fair play. It's a great point. Well made, Manu. Thank you so much. I love your savvy. I did say, but I don't want him to go to Munich either. I don't want him to go to Werder Bremen. He's not going to follow his sister, is he? Because he's 22. He's got the world at his feet. And he's been really savvy about it. So I think actually, props to Florian WIRTZ, who's 22, who, if we look at this Sports Illustrated cover and the quote that's given to him is he says he's playing the PR and he's playing it really coolly. I'm quite lucky to have so many excellent clubs right on my doorstep and to be able to play for one of the best clubs in Germany and Europe. I've got big respect for the guys in Leverkusen who come from South America or Africa, for example. They leave their families and their environment behind for their careers. It's definitely tempting for me, here we go, for me to leave the comfort zone, to leave my comfort zone at some point and experience something new. I know the football dressing rooms well enough, and I'm convinced that I would quickly find my place anywhere. Wow, there you go, Florian WIRTZ and his management team, or his dad, playing everyone, all of us, like lemons. Well done. Well done, Florian WIRTZ, for keeping your powder dry and your stock high. Do you know what? You deserve it for those 20 goal involvements in the Bundesliga alone. All told, look at that. What's that? 36 goal involvements across all competitions this season. Clap that one in. Where's he going to go? We don't know. But he's not following his sister, is he, to Werder Bremen? That's for sure. A great effort. And actually, if we look at Bayer Leverkusen, they have one more away game. Now, even a draw away from Mainz will do to establish themselves as being the first team in the Bundesliga to have gone 34 away games consecutively unbeaten. What a streak that would be. So again, all they've got to do is get a draw away to Mainz, and that's 34 games. That spans over 2 seasons. And again, if I remember rightly, yeah, here we go. Look, last time that Leverkusen were beaten on the road was the last day of the 23 season when they were beaten 3-0 or brushed aside. There's one for your Rise. Cling on to that one. Rise Football Paradise. They were brushed aside 3-0 by Bochum. But again, a draw at Mainz. And that's 34 games in the can. No Bundesliga title returning to Leverkusen this season because it's already been won by Bayern Munich. But they could end the season on a high with 34 games unbeaten. And they'll still qualify for the Champions League next year, regardless of whether Xabi Alonso himself or Florian WIRTZ stays around. But again, like we say, he ain't going to Werder Bremen, is he? Max Eberl's he's got to stay up all night and do some maths, hasn't he? He's got to make some sales. But apparently, oh, where's it gone? Oh, it's disappeared. His heart is set on Munich. Fascinating. Anyway, there you go. Please like and subscribe because I do this full time. I'd like other people out there to find me. It's not vanity. I just need some support. That's all I ask. What are your thoughts? Where do you think Florian WIRTZ is going to go? How would you rate Bayer Leverkusen's season? And tell me, honestly, Leroy Sané, baller or not? Me is Sam Meyer. Well done again, Bayern. We'll catch you very soon.